hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is JD. Who's here with me?
It's Michelle.
Holy crap, Michelle! We finally made it to another episode. I know it's only been.
We ever would.
It's only been a week, but when we spend a whole month recording 2 or 3 episodes a week because you get way behind schedule, man, it really felt like a long time since we did this.
It's also just been a long month in general.
Yeah, and we're only halfway through it. Yeah. Hey, did you see my report on the book last night about how I made it almost to the end of my training week at my new job without losing my shit over a coworker who tried to tell me what to do and was doing everything wrong and probably got 2 people fired before I even worked by myself even once?
I did see that, and I'm proud of you for not walking out.
Good job. God, Michelle, I was like,
therapy portion, let's go.
You gotta be fucking kidding me, right? I made it to the last 20 minutes of my last training shift. I was like, after this, I'm here by myself. I'm free in the clear, and this person is the only nice way to put it, or just... It's not worth going into the details, but oh my God, I was like, how do you people even have jobs? And so I asked my boss, hey, how do these people who do these things still have jobs? And my boss said, well, they probably won't have jobs. So,
Jeez.
We're talking about, look, guys, I'm not talking about some dumb job or, like somebody at the call center for tech support was being a jerk. I work in a nursing home as a caregiver for elderly people who have been put there by their loved ones to take care of them. And we're talking about things that not just could put their safety at risk, but could put everybody in the company's jobs at risk because they're very clear, very obvious violations of the law that could get our license rescinded and remove us from business. So I'm not just being some jerk getting people fired because I don't like working with them. I always worry that people are going to think that. So I got to preemptively be like, look, they deserve this shit.
Katie's favorite hobbies include wrestling, petite goth girls, and getting people fired.
I will fucking stab you, Michelle.
I am not wrong. Quick disclaimer over on this end.
I would,
yes.
But before we get to the disclaimer, I would like to clarify the goth thing is not necessary.
Just petite druid-like. Nymph-like?
Just no, not nymph. That's got some connotations that I don't like either.
I'm thinking D&D nymph.
Okay, yeah. Small. Can we just say small people? No, that doesn't even work. God, let's talk about something else, please.
Anyone 3.5 feet tall and below, but also over the age
Michelle,
of 18.
are you still there?
Yeah, I am. Do you still hear me?
No.
You hear me? I hear you.
What happened?
Oh, now I don't hear you anymore. What's happened?
Going on?
To talking about Jamie's preference for ladies break everything? Oh, no.
Why?
Oh, no.
Don't stop recording. God, I hope you don't stop
happen?
recording. Why did I lose you all of a sudden?
Happen?
Just keep the wheel rolling. Oh, dear God, please tell me you didn't stop recording.
I did not stop recording. Apparently,
Awesome.
Kim Kardashian's butt breaks the internet as well as JD's preference for ladies.
No, please let's talk about something else, please.
Okay, I would love to.
God. I get so self-conscious when you talk about my...
Oh. We have the same type. That's why I know what it is. Anyway.
Yeah, but...
that and girls who could fight me. And and win.
Michelle,
anyway,
let's not even get started about what it does to me when a girl scares me so much I feel like she's gonna punch me in the face. That's because that's some shit I'm not.
Some real big arms, and
that's some shit that I'm not prepared to unpack yet. I got some other luggage that needs to be put away before we even get into that whole thing.
I unpacked all that luggage, and it is laying around my room for all to see. I am not recording this in my office, so there will probably be times that one of my 5 pets, which is too many pets, I know this, It was not my choice.
No, that's
I'm
not
never fostering animals again because my husband cannot part with them. But one of my 5 pets will probably interrupt at some point. As you can tell from this creepy silhouette behind me.
Yeah, there's a little kitty cat behind you.
Yeah, which one is this? Oh, that is Samwise Gamgee's. Yep, Samwise Gamgee is hanging out in the window. So yeah, they will be all over, and we will see how much editing we choose not to do, which is we hate editing. We don't do that. Can you tell from when the stuff cut out and we
just left that whole chunk in there because
I'm sure we did that. Okay, let's go ahead and get into things, shall we?
I look forward to a day in the future where people are talking about their personal favorite podcasts that they listen to. And somebody's like, "Oh, you should check these guys out," and they come back and be like, "Have they never heard of cut and paste? What the fuck?"
Oh, we have.
No, man.
This is a choice. Yeah. You get us as we are, which is sometimes not great. This is why people are like, "This sounds like a conversation with my friends. I want to be one of your friends, and this is how it sounds like."
Sometimes, frankly, it's very, very lazy.
Mine is never a laziness. I would put hours into editing if I was permitted to. But this is it's part of who we are now.
It's raw and unfiltered. Let's talk about Candyman, shall we?
Yeah, we are talking about Candyman. Oddly enough, so Tony Todd just passed, but I was going to ask if we could do this anyway. Because my friend Savannah watched all of Candyman for the first time in Spooktober. So I was going to ask if I could go back and do it anyway. So
including
thanks,
Candyman Farewell to Flesh and Candyman 3 something of
Day
the Dead. Oh my God.
She watched both of those. In
Savannah,
preparation for this, I did rewatch 1992 and 2021. But I did not watch.
You didn't warn her off the other two?
I haven't actually seen
friend,
them either.
Michelle. Oh, okay.
No, I had not seen them, but she has told me everything I need to know.
Just don't.
I have no intention.
There are 4 films in the Candyman franchise, and 2 of them are good. We'll just leave it at that. But yeah, when you said yesterday, because we have a week without a new Shudder drop, and it dawned on me that we hadn't even talked about what we were going to do. And when you said Candyman, I was just like, oh, yeah, of course Candyman. Because, first of all, R.I.P. Tony Todd. I never personally got a chance to meet him. I know so many people who met him at various conventions and other events. Apparently just one of the nicest, kindest, most generous people to the fan base, and most thankful to the fan base. Just across the board. Seemed like a really great dude. Followed him on social media for a while. He always had great things to say. He was always being really positive and supportive of things. And it was a good opportunity to go back and check out this film, and I'm glad we got to do it because I haven't seen it in a while. And it was a good refresher of how I feel about. Look, I'm not even gonna wait till I'm hitting you right now. This is a 5 skull movie for me. I love everything about this. I love the way the story plays on multiple levels. I think Tony Todd is great. I think Virginia Madsen is great. There's the little kid who who meets Helen and shows her the bathroom that we'll talk about later. His name is DeJuan Guy, and I'm still not convinced that's not some creepy stage name and it's just supposed to be the one guy, but I don't know. I love this movie. I'm glad I got a chance to see it again. Let's talk about it, Michelle. Candyman, 1992. What's the script?
Man. Okay. Candyman, 1992. The Candyman, a murderous soul with a hook for a hand, is accidentally summoned to reality by a skeptic grad student researching the monster's myth. Candyman.
I would like to immediately disagree with that descripty script, but we'll talk more about it when we get to the spoiler section.
Yep. Well, we know your thoughts, JD. Do you want to know my thoughts on Candyman?
I would love to know I would love to know your spoiler freeze.
This is also a 5. This is a double 5.
It's so good.
I had not seen it before. Or, I mean, I've probably seen it in my youth and didn't remember it. But I did rewatch it in 2021 before we went to the new Candyman for your birthday.
For my birthday!
And the power was out, and we didn't know if we were going to be able to see it. And there was no air conditioning and all the lights that were out in the theater. And that was a fun experience that I completely forgot about until John reminded me right before we recorded.
And, of course, typically me was last minute, very late to my own birthday party, and if memory serves, the whole incident with the lights and the air conditioning was already done by the time I got there, so I didn't even get to experience the excitement on my own birthday until, of course, we watched Candyman. And then we watched Candyman 2021, and that's another movie we'll talk about sometime.
Yes,
that's also a fantastic movie. If you don't know, oh my God, one of the best reboots. Not even a reboot. It's really just a 20-odd year sequel. So good. We'll talk about that one another time, though.
I do have to say that watching Candyman 1992 and then immediately going to 2021 made me like 2021 just a little bit less. That previously also would have been a 5 for me, but the two in comparison, I'm like, wow, they kind of messed up the story of the Candyman a little bit, and I know why they did it, but
I bet,
unfortunately, it becomes very.
Have you only seen the 2021 film that one time?
I think I've seen it 3 times now.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say I think maybe if you went back and revisited it, it might have been enough distance. But no, that's fair. But yeah, let's not waste time talking about the 2021 one because that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about the OG, the Bad Bitch original 1992 Candyman, based on the Clive Barker short story The Forbidden, from his Books of Blood short story collection. Have you read any of that, Michelle?
I have to say that before today, I did not know that Candyman had any relationship to Clive Barker, and I felt very self-conscious realizing that I was giving another Clive Barker property 5 stars / 5 skulls because I'm so goddamn predictable. But no, I haven't read those books yet. I have them. I own them. I have several Clive Barker books that are autographed by Clive Barker that I still haven't even read. I just like his stuff in theory, even if I've never even read it. So it's on my list, especially now that I'm like, oh shit, The Forbidden. I guess I have to go check that out. But yeah, it turns out the Bernard Rose took the British Clive Barker property and went, that's too British, too much tea. And then he made it America and then racism instead of classism. So
right.
Cool.
Well, racism, classism, they're all fingers on the same glove.
But should I do a plot summary? For people who might not have seen this?
So we're going into spoiler territory now, guys. If you haven't seen the film and you still are trying to avoid spoilers after 32 years, stop listening and then come back when you're done. All right, Michelle, go ahead.
Okay. So, urban legends. You've heard of them,
I'm going to get
right?
medicated while you do this.
Great. Urban legends. You've heard of them. That's the whole point of urban legends, is that you tell them. And one of the urban legends is Candyman. And Candyman, what is he? He's a guy who has candy? No, not at all. He is a guy who fell in love with a white woman, and he was a black guy, and he was a painter, and everybody's like, you can't do that. And then they beat him, and they cut off his hand that he used to paint, and they put a hook there, and then they covered him in bees, and he got stung to death. And they're like, isn't that a fun story to pass down through the generations? And sure. So that's what Candyman is. He's a guy who was a perfectly fine gentleman, but now he exists to make some bad stuff happen, but for a reason that's important. He's a very complex man. So there's this lady, Virginia Madsen. She's a white woman. We're tired of those. I know. I'm so sorry about the election. It wasn't me. But Virginia Madsen, aka Helen Lyle, she is doing a story on Candyman and urban legends in general. And she's like, Candyman, he's not real. And everyone's like, yeah, we know. It's a fucking ridiculous concept. We know this story makes absolutely no sense. We get it. And she's like, I'm going to write a paper on it anyway. And so she goes to Cabrini Greens, which is basically the projects. And she starts doing some investigation there. And eventually she does summon the Candyman by saying his name 5 times. And then he shows up, and she looks kind of like his woman he had previously. And he's like, be my victim. And she's like, that doesn't sound like a good idea. And she wakes up covered in blood. That's what happens if you turn a man down. You wake up covered in blood in a location. Oh, that got so much darker. I was just thinking, like, that's a bizarre concept of, like, you reject somebody and then you wake up and you're, like, covered in candy. But saying, like, I don't know where I am and I'm covered in blood is very scary. Holy shit. I did not.
Yeah, you kind of took a sharp left there.
I just thought it was going to be like a wacky ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba thing, but no, God, that's scary. So, anyway, she rejects him, and so he puts her in a place that she doesn't know where she is, and she wakes up, and there's blood everywhere, and there's a baby nowhere. Where's the fucking baby? It's not there, but the blood's there. And then the baby's mom, Marie McCoy, she's like, holy shit, you killed my baby, you psycho. And then she attacks her. And then Helen Lyle's like, I did no such thing. And then the cops show up and they arrest her. And they're like, Helen Lyle, why would you absolutely demolish this dog and then hide a baby? And Helen's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And the Candyman's like, ha ha ha, this is the latest YouTube pranks series. I know YouTube pranks, they're never funny, but this one definitely going to be a huge hit and go viral. And then he just framed her for murder, and he's like, you're definitely gonna want to come hang out with me because everybody else sucks. And then he kills the psychiatrist who's trying to help her because she says his name, Candyman's name, not the psychiatrist. Maybe she said the psychiatrist's name 5 times and he'd come back to life too, but she says Candyman's name 5 times, and he hooks the shit out of that psychiatrist and then whoops out a window, and that's pretty cool. And then so now she's free and she runs home, and now, oh no, her professor husband has got a collegiate lady who's redecorating and painting everything, and that just seems like moving on a little quickly, but he did not think that. And then the college girl, she has no personality, she's just there to be pretty. She has very, very little dialogue, so she just stands in the corner and cries. And at first I was like, wow, of course, because they're not even gonna bother giving her a personality. But then I'm also like, this is exactly what I would do. I get it. I relate to this lady a lot. I would just stand in the corner and cry and be like, please get your crazy wife out of my new living room. The paint is wet. So then Helen leaves, and then Helen, she figures out where the baby's hidden. The baby's hidden in a bonfire. That's a really bad place to hide a baby. I'm just saying, like, if you can't afford a babysitter, there's better alternatives. Don't just put them in a big pile of flammable items that will be lit on fire. But she goes to save the baby. Candyman's like, I knew you were gonna come here, bitch. And Helen's like, and she stabs him. Something happens. I don't quite remember. And then she climbs out of the fire holding the baby. Her head's on fire. It's hilarious. I lit my hair on fire once when I was 5, and my grandma picked me up and dunked me into a bucket of water upside down. And it's a very vivid, traumatic memory that I have. I'm very glad that my hair did not turn out like Helen Lyle's did, but she winds up dying. Luckily, her beautiful face, 0 burn damage. Just her hair, which, like, girl, you can, there's lace front wigs, you don't have, okay, whatever. Like, whatever you want to do, I'm just saying it's not that devastating. So now she's dead, as well as her hair. Her hair was already dead. Did you know that your hair is just dead skin cells? That's pretty cool. And now her professor widow husband, he goes to the funeral and he's like, I'm really sad. And he brought his fucking mistress to the funeral, which, like, fuck you, bro. Like, he already sucked, but, like, bringing your mistress to your dead wife's funeral after she died saving a baby from a bonfire. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you. And then he's like, I'm just here because I have to be. And then a bunch of people show up and they all come to pay their respects, including Anne-Marie McCoy holding baby Anthony, who was saved from the fire. And then he's like, whoa, maybe my ex-wife, who is now dead, was kind of a good person, and maybe I'm sad about her leaving me. And then he sits in the bathroom and he just cries a little bit. And then his young lady's like, well, I'm gonna throw a temper tantrum and I'm gonna literally throw meat around, and how dare you take so long to poop? I need attention. And just like, ugh, right? And then he's like, there's no way out of this relationship. I've made a mistake. And so then he says Candyman 5 times into the mirror. Helen shows up. she murders the shit out of him, which, like, it would have been better if she just, like, hurt him a bunch and left him there. Like, he did not deserve to die. And, like, what if he now becomes part of the Candyman legacy too, which I don't think so, because he wasn't just, like, an innocent person who didn't deserve to die. He really, really deserved to die. He sucked a lot. But man, love that fucking ending. Helen just like, sup, bitch, and then kills him. Love that for her. Men suck. So do white women sometimes, as this movie has indicated. Rest in peace, Tony Todd. Fuck you, Trevor Lyle. The end.
Yeah, that's Candyman. I do want to say that the reason that he won't be part of this is what's crucial to the thing is you have to be remembered, right? Like you have it's the people's memory and fear of you. Like, that's why the ending with that painting on the wall, when it changes from the scary Candyman to like Helen like an angel, and we can completely dissect the white savior complex going on here at some point if we need to, because that's definitely there. The black devil is defeated by the white angel in the black community. Let me step away from that for a minute. But there's so much in that mural and what it represents, because the crucial thing to all these people have every reason to believe that that Helen is actually the killer, right? There's no reason to believe anything but she is going nuts because she got macked in the head at Cabrini Green by that guy pretending to be the Candyman, and now she's just fucking going crazy over she went too deep. She went too deep. But the crux of it that keeps everything, it's the baby, right? Because that baby was missing for several days. So where was it? Because there's no way that baby survived for 4 or 5 days in that pile of bonfire trash without somebody. And there's the beep in my ear. Michelle has disappeared. I'm just going to keep going. There's no way. There's no way that anybody would have, that somebody would have found that baby. That baby wasn't there. And so, God damn it. Michelle, are you still there?
Do you hear me, or is this super delayed?
No, I don't know what's going on right now. All of a sudden, everything just started beeping in my ear, and you were gone, and I've completely lost my train of thought because all the beeping distracted me, and I was going to some kind of... so anyway, my point here is, I think what I was trying to get to was, like, that baby is the key, right? Like, where was the baby? Was it just in that pile? Nobody found, but, like, so the way that climax builds, like, Candyman comes after Helen gets the hook. So, and then all the kids see is the hook, right? They don't see Helen go in. They just see the hook. And now they believe Candyman is in the pile. And so Candyman is in the pile because they believe it. And she's there with him. And they come out to, and so from their experience, from the public's experience, the way the story will be told is that supposedly crazy Helen Lyle was actually trying to protect these people and save the baby from the Candyman, and now she is a legend too. And that makes her essentially the same thing as Candyman, in a way. And what I love about that very ending bit, the crucial element to why he has to die, is, I don't know if you caught it, but when the mistress finds him dead, she's holding a knife. Mm-hmm. So it's not just Helen's revenge on him. it's also now potentially her revenge on the mistress as well. I love that little layer of it. And I love the way you then follow that train, because now the Candyman's legend is amplified. He has more power. There are more legends tied into it. Also, the way this story plays that sort of haunted love story on top of the vengeance murder. There's so many layers here, and nothing gets in the way of anything else. It all fits together like hand in glove. This is a perfect example of what I always say, that real excellence in your movies starts with the writing. If you have a shit foundation, there's only so far you can go. And this is so well written. The story is well balanced. There's so many different levels. The characters are all interesting. Candyman is in it, but if you break it down, I bet you he's in, 20% of this movie on screen,
he's in a
actually?
very, very small
Yeah, he's
amount.
but used to such great effect. I've been babbling a while here. I had to completely retrain my thoughts, but yeah, I adore this movie. I love how it puts everything together.
Oh, I started writing some notes while I was watching it, and then this happens where if a movie is something I don't enjoy at all or something I enjoyed too much, I always stop writing my notes. And that happened with this one. And I was really hoping that it wouldn't suck so much and I would stop caring about my note. No, I'm kidding. I was really hoping that, watching it again for now at least like the third memorable time, because people who know this know I grew up on horror movies, so I'm sure I saw it as a kid. I definitely remember the video cover, because the VHS cover scared the shit out of me. I have more memories of the cover than I do of the movie as a child, where like a bee going in your eye. I'm allergic to bees. I'm not deathly allergic, but each time I get stung, it can cause a bigger allergic reaction, and I swell up pretty fucking big. So like the idea of a bee stinging me in the eye is, I'm not even afraid of bees, but I am afraid of like, this is a bad situation. You do not want a bee in your eye. So like that's always been very, very freaky to me. And I had hoped that I would just, start taking notes and being more analytical about it. And I couldn't, because I was just so into it. And what I'm realizing is, now every time I rewatch this, it solidifies what I like about it, and that is that Candyman is not just a character that exists for one sole purpose. He is a complex entity with his own freedom to choose what he does and why he does it. And the first time I watched it back in 2021, I remember being like, whoa, I don't remember all this depth, and I don't even fully understand like what's going on here and why. And I really had to go like check out like, what did I miss? Holy shit. I thought it was just a guy who shows up and kills people when they say his name and that's it. No, it's this guy who was a perfectly fine guy when he was alive, was wronged horribly, and now wants to continue to live as a legend, even if that means that he has to kill innocent people in order to continue living. Like at this point, he's like, fuck you. Like, I don't care. Like, just keep me alive as long as you need to. People can say his name and he doesn't have to show up. He chooses when he shows up. And I love that. It's not a Beetlejuice situation where suddenly he's there, whether or not he wants to be. He's like, no, bitch, I'm in the middle of a crossword puzzle. You can wait. I do love the idea of him just like hanging out, like just at his table on a breakfast, or like having breakfast on a nice Sunday morning. And he's like, it is my day off. What the fuck do you want, Helen? I'm busy. You'll show your friend I exist other ways later. Yes, JD.
Oh, I was just going to say, you reminded me very quickly of one of the things I love that enforces that idea. Like you say, when she's going through the slides and she finds that slide where it's got her reflected in the mirror and he's there. Nobody said it. Like, he's where he wants. He's there. He goes where he wants to go. He comes when he wants. I almost said he comes when he wants to come, and then I stopped myself. But then I said it anyway, because it's not what I wanted to. Anyway.
Well, he does.
But yeah, I
Good for him.
also like part of this that I like, and then I do want to toss it back to you is like Helen does finally give in. Like she has become convinced that the legend is real. And she decides, look, the only way I can convince him is, and so she just says, fuck it. And she summons him on purpose too, to kill the doctor. So great. I'm sorry. I got just, please continue.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually a big part of what sells it for me is from that moment on where she's kind of like using him to her advantage in that moment is where it really solidifies like he can do what he wants because he shows up and he doesn't kill her. He kills the doctor and then he's like, I got you, boo. And then he just whoops out the window. And like, I love where I'm like, you are not just like a weird entity that like is just a killing monster when people summon you. Like you choose what you do and do not want to do. And he's got like a little bit of a thing for Helen. So that's why he's going to leave her be and she'll be his victim when she's ready. He's just playing that long game. And then the fact that she comes back at the end, I like the idea that they now live together in whatever afterlife exists for urban legends like them, and that they just have like a very happy life and just like they just kind of sometimes go like, hey baby, it's 2021, it's been a while. Do you want to go kill some high school girls in a bathroom who were fucking around and saying our name? Do you just want to like go fuck with some preteens for a little bit? And they're like, oh, we haven't done that since we were so young. It's gonna make us feel so alive. Like I like them living together and just making a nice little happy house into a happy home.
Every now and then he goes off and, you know, just maybe gets a little carried away and she's like, God damn it, now I gotta go fix your mess again. I gotta go save another baby from a bonfire in a field. Thanks
He's
a
like,
lot,
yeah, but you love
Candyman.
me anyway. They have a very complex relationship, and I love that for them. I know we're not going to talk about 2021, but I do have to say that if you liked the original 1992 and you haven't checked out 2021 yet, you absolutely need to. Purely because the story does get a little messy. Unfortunately, it's not as well put together as it is in the 1992.
Not quite as clean.
But it's still very good, and holy shit, the kills in the 2021 are
Jesus.
great.
Yeah, I wanted to come around to that because, again, this is a movie I had seen before several times, but I did see it very late in the game. I think I saw it for the first time like 2019, just a little before the new one came out. I had seen it and it was one of those that because of when it came out in 92, completely dominating everything in horror up until like 92, things were really starting to like, it was the early point of that 90s low era. We were coming off all of these franchise titles with iconic killers, and it was one that I always had expected it to be a different kind of movie, right? I expected this to be like a Nightmare on Elm Street 5 or Friday the 13th 8 kind of thing. And it's I think for me at least it suffered from the era in which it came out, just because it had so much, because it had that named killer who became an iconic presence. And that stuff it's always touch and go in those sorts of things. But when I did finally see it, I was like, Jesus, this movie is bloody as fuck. Like, there is so much blood in this one. And then, like you say, you go, and the 2021 version or sequel is amps up above that. So, yeah, if you like some fucking splatter, see these movies.
I like to think that Candyman is probably what inspired the urban legend that my dance troupe had as a kid. I had a very one of those like, oh shit, I can't believe that was ever a thing kind of memories pop into my head when I mentioned Candyman to somebody last week, and I'm really glad we get to talk about it on the show now. So as a kid, I used to dance, and I had dance rehearsals at least once a week. And let's see, Candyman came out in 92, so it would have been 3. I started dance when I was 5 or 6, so it might have been something that like I saw on a shelf and then I brought back to the dance troupe. But we had an urban legend where all of the girls, this is so fucking dumb, would stand in the bathroom there, but around the toilet with our hands on the toilet lid and would say "Toilet Man" 5 times. And then the toilet would flush and we'd all lose our fucking minds because obviously somebody flushed it. But at the time, holy shit, Toilet Man was real. And like that was a thing that floated around our dance studio for at least a good year.
Oh, that's priceless.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm pretty sure it was because
Toilet
of
Man!
I was the spooky bitch. It was always like, hey, you guys want to do light as a feather, stiff as a board? And they're like, girl, it is 1 p.m. on a Monday. And we are in algebra.
You can't just do a Bloody Mary like everybody. You got to do a fucking Toilet Man.
No, and that's why I think I was a weird fucking kid, but everybody believed
I love it.
So Toilet Man was a thing that floated. Kate, if you're listening to this episode, I know you did dance with me. Please solidify that you were part of our group of girls who did the Toilet Man thing, and that it's not just people I don't stay in contact with anymore, and they have this really weird memory of a girl that they did dance with in first or second grade.
She used to
Please
make
tell
us
me
touch
you
the
remember.
toilet in the dark. It was so fucking weird.
Yeah, it definitely.
But I mean, what were we gonna do? Not do it? She had knives in her bag.
I never had knives. I wasn't allowed to have knives because I'm very clumsy. Did I not tell you that I lit my hair on fire?
Because I'm clumsy. That's why Michelle wasn't allowed to have knives. Yeah, it was her clumsiness.
In second grade, it was not knowing what I would wind up doing with sharp objects later in life. At that point, it was a clumsy thing. At this point, it's more of a self-preservation thing that I should not have easy access to them.
Right. Every now and then you just got to stab a bitch, you know? It's just how it is. You just got to knife a motherfucker.
That's 100% true.
For sure.
There is a quote from 2021 that I just want to read because it's my favorite part of the entire fucking movie, and it is not going to spoil anything. The main guy.
Spoilers!
I realized as I was saying it, we have to cut that out. Okay, I'm making a note. 37, 50. Right as I said it, I went, oh shit, yeah, that's not revealed, because I went back and I looked at all the lore of Candyman and I forgot that's not revealed yet. Okay, so here is a quote that is actually not going to spoil anything.
To the extent that I had seen the first movie and I didn't put 2 and 2 together until they fucking told me in the second one.
I know. Yep, nope, I got my timestamp. Okay. So this quote that actually won't spoil anything is just the main guy from the movie. He's like arguing drunkenly with somebody else, and he says something about like the other guy wanting to fuck college students, and it's a very clever line. And the guy responds, "That's not spontaneous. You had that one in the bank." And then goes, "Yeah, I did, bitch," and leaves the art gallery. And it's the best part. Watching the movie is worth it just for going, "Yeah, I did, bitch." That's all. I really like that line. It solidified that movie as a masterpiece for me, and I forgave its flaws.
Speaking of lines, of course, Candyman has one of the fucking greatest opening lines of any movie ever. He's like, what is it? They will say I have shed innocent blood, but what is blood for if not for shedding? That's fucking wild. The first time I heard that, the first time I watched that movie, I paused it immediately, and I was fucking on my Facebook. I was like, why didn't anybody tell me? It's such a great opening line.
When I learned today that it was a Clive Barker property, that line immediately flew into my head, and I went, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's such a Pinhead thing to say.
Oh, absolutely.
That is such a Pinhead thing to say.
What is blood for if not for shedding? Oh, yeah. Another thing that I want to point out is that Candyman, as it turns out, that I didn't understand. Obviously, everybody else knew this, but I was not aware. I knew it was about like that urban legend, sort of a spin on Bloody Mary. But I did not ever understand how much this is about the concepts of folklore in general. Like, this is very much an urban folk horror film. And I love those are some of the things that I love the most about this. Candyman is able to exist just because people believe in him. And from that point, as long as the belief is there, as you said, he's free to do as he pleases. And so every now and then, as he says, he's got to come back along and re-inspire some of that, because, I got to keep my gas tank full. We got to remind people I'm here. But then it's about how those legends develop, and it's very much about how, in a lot of ways, while the truth is still the truth doesn't always matter. And the truth isn't always necessarily the most important thing, right? And we get a lot more, I again, without trying to spoil it, they do so much with this story as what it means as a piece of folklore, and what folklore means in that 2021 film. The way it reframes what's being, who Candyman is, and repurposes it just based on the fears and needs of the culture whose fears are feeding him. I loved what they did there. I love how much this is just about those urban legends and folk tales at a time long before people really dove into that sort of thing.
I have nothing to respond with, because that was all very well stated. And I have no
every now and then
clarifications.
I just monologue. It's like I want to be a college professor, but I don't want to be in a room full of students.
It's good though, because your lectures are ones that I actually pay attention to. I don't learn well in a lecture environment, but when you're speaking, I just start zoning out, going like, "Oh yeah, no, that's totally yeah."
Stop it.
We don't have emotions here. Also, partially while you were monologuing, my husband threw my slippers down the stairs for me as I asked him to do, which is great. But then with the slippers came one dog and 3 cats, who then Tom and Jerry'd around the room for a while. Oh, one thing that they hit on in the first movie, I am terrified of being incarcerated for something I did not do.
Yeah!
That is a huge fear of mine. There's a Netflix docuseries that I'm not going to name, even though this would be the most vague thing that if I mentioned it, you would ever draw the connection. But essentially, it's this woman whose ex-boyfriend frames her for something she didn't do, and she was in prison for years. Because he was just very clever about how he framed it. And the only reason she was ever let out was because one of his friends eventually felt guilty and confessed to it. And that's one of my biggest fears. So the fact that Helen's like, I just woke up in this apartment covered in blood with a dead dog and a missing baby. Holy shit, terrifying.
Oh. Yeah, by the way, guys, we forgot to get it to you up front, but if you're thinking about going to doesthedogdie.com, the dog fucking dies.
I don't think we ever see the dog, though, do we?
No, but you see the dog's severed head.
Oh, we do see the head. Okay, I could not remember if that was a false memory.
Oh, Michelle, did you freeze up again, or are you just?
I still hear you.
Why is the internet?
I still hear
today?
you. Oh,
so anyway,
now you are frozen in a very funny way, sir.
If you're worried about the dog, the dog
dies.
What
is happening? There are ghosts in the machine.
Just overall,
what is it? Ghost
really
in the shell? Scarlett Johansson, are you here
look,
with
I'm
us?
not even going to fake that this isn't happening again.
Am I right?
Oh, you're back.
Anybody else?
No, you're not back.
It's a fine movie, but it was a
you're
weird casting choice, and I feel like we can all agree there. I love what she does.
Why is this happening?
Ignored my phone call.
Why is this happening?
How dare he?
I don't understand.
How dare he? I guess.
I just don't understand.
I guess this
Michelle.
is a person who likes Ghost in the Shell, if I've ever heard of one.
I'm pretty sure Candyman's in the stream.
Oh, I was blaming on Scarlett Johansson. You can go back and listen to why.
Oh, I'm not even sure where we were when I lost you at this point. Man!
You started screaming, so I know exactly where we were, because I still heard you.
I don't know what I was screaming about. I've already completely forgotten what I was screaming about, because that's how my memory works in these situations. But
false incarceration.
Oh, yeah. Just one of the, again, yeah, I agree. To me, one of the most... And it's not like a startle, scary, one of the most like gut nauseating, like legitimate terrifying things I've ever experienced was the first time I ever had an alcoholic blackout. Because the last thing I remember is I was conscious and having a good time in one place. And the next thing I remember, I'm waking up much later in a completely different place, which I must also note, several miles from where I was the last thing I remember. No idea how I got there. No idea what's going on. It's pitch black in the middle of the night. It's fucking terrifying. And so, yeah, like, first of all, if you've never been through that experience, God bless you. Don't ever go through it if you can avoid it. But holy shit, what a scary fucking thing. And the way Virginia Madsen plays that here, like, Tony Todd gets a lot of credit, and rightly so, because he is fantastic as the Candyman. But Virginia Madsen has to carry this movie. And I thought she was fantastic, incredibly believable, as somebody who's just, she's so fucking confused and scared that she doesn't even have a lot of the wherewithal to even try to fight things until it's too late, right? She was fantastic. The way she plays the humiliation of being strip searched after the baby disappears and the dog dies, that is one of the most and it's not uncomfortable because the cop is making it uncomfortable. The cop, they have a female cop doing the job. She's just being very professional, very straightforward, doing her job, not being mean, but also not being sympathetic. She's just saying, okay, now I need you to take this off like this and then do this. And the humiliation and degradation and shame of that experience that she's going through, she plays that so fucking well. This movie is... a lot of times I think it's even better than the reputation it currently has. Because, I mean, obviously people all call it a classic, or well, I guess not everybody, but it's, the more times I see it, the more times I want to see it again. Or, like, the more I want to see it again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, every time I see it, I think it's better than the last time I saw it.
I catch something that tickles my fancy a little bit more every time I see it. And
Yeah.
I don't know why, but this time it was him whooshing out the window. Just made me laugh. It's so funny the way he just goes flying backwards out of that room. Like, that's how you travel?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's great. Now I do, because obviously we suspend our disbelief for these sorts of things, but now that we've taken some time to discuss how fantastic this movie is, we do have to talk about how the Candyman rules work, right? Because in the legend, or like in the first thing, when Ted Raimi and the blonde girl are doing the first demonstration, he only says it 4 times, but then she says it the 5th time, and he appears. So it doesn't have to be the same person all 5 times. Okay, also there was a delay in time between his 4 and her 5th one. How much time can pass before the 5th one counts? Like, if 5 random people over a span of 7 years just happen to look into one particular mirror and say the word Candyman 1 time, does that still trigger everything? Does it have to be the full word? Like, if I go in and say candy and then somebody else and says man, do they have to be in consecutive order, uninterrupted by other words? How does it work, Michelle?
I have a theory for some of that.
Okay,
here's my theory. Same session, any variation, like one person could say a syllable of can, someone else could say D, the other one could say man, like whatever, as long as it's in the same session within a certain time period. Like, if you say it 4 times within 15 minutes, you're fine. If the 5th one it's been 20 minutes since the first one, he's not showing up. He's got other shit to do. He can't just stand around waiting for you to finish summoning him in a mirror.
Okay, but so that's my question. What are the specific time frames?
Well, he's not going to tell you that because there's got to be some edge of suspense. Suspense. Some edge of suspense is a phrase I just said. I don't even know what the fuck I was trying to say.
Disbelief. Riley.
Suspense?
Stop it.
But the edge of suspense. Mystery.
I just had to throw an empty plastic bottle at my dog because he was trying to eat something he shouldn't be eating.
Oh, was it delicious though? Because then I'm totally on his side.
Oh, I'm sure it was, but it's also destroying things I own, the little goofball.
They love doing that.
Oh, they sure do. Well, Michelle, we've clearly indicated to the world that this movie is rad, and if they haven't seen it, they're fucking up their lives, and they need to fix that situation.
Well, I'm fucking up my life, but it's not a situation that can be fixed with Candyman. That said, I still think everybody should go watch Candyman.
Right, but yeah, I mean, I'm not saying people who have seen Candyman are not also fucking up their lives in other ways, but
they don't need to fuck up their life in this way.
What I am seeing is if you are a person who is not fucking up their life at all, but who has not seen Candyman, you are not a person who is not fucking your life up at all.
Ooh, I do like that.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a Venn diagram of people who have and have not fucked
You aren't
up their lives.
entirely, you can't be entirely unfucked without seeing this movie.
Nope, we're not going there. Okay. We're not.
All right, I gotta get ready for work. Say goodnight, Michelle. Good afternoon, Michelle.
Good
Say that.
afternoon,
Oh,
Michelle.
Jesus. For more horror content, visit WeWatchShutter.com, where you'll find our world-famous, patent-pending Ghoul blog and Squelch files, as well as a schedule of upcoming episodes. Find us on social media at WeWatchShutter on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I guess Twitter if you're still doing that for whatever reason. You can email us. mail@WeWatchShutter.com is the address. mail@WeWatchShutter.com. You can even call and leave us a voicemail, 701-566-9510. No, really. 701-566-9510. Give it a shot. See what happens. We Watch Shutter is a production of Rat Factory Media.